My name is John and I'm at Paint School on Instagram. I've done over $15 million in paint jobs and I'm based out of Huntington Beach, California. Aaron is at Alpha Painting on Instagram. He's managed huge commercial projects with impossible timelines and now is a few years into building his own operation out of Branson, Missouri.
And you should probably check out our full process videos on YouTube because they're pretty badass.
Our point in doing this podcast is to put our 40 plus years of combined experience to the test. We've seen a decline in the industry, and while I think it's a bit arrogant to think we can change it, we're giving it a shot. Listen up and let us know what you think. This is Paint Sniffers Podcast. All right, we're back on again with Sam. From all of our listeners and everything, they can't get enough of him, so he's back on. All right, so
that guy.
One of the things that we were talking about off air is like versatility and kind of all of the three of us, the way that we run our companies, the way that we've been painting over the years is pretty versatile, right? Like we have a lot of experience in a lot of different areas of painting with like new construction, residential repaints, commercial work. Obviously, Aaron more heavily in commercial work. But I don't know if you see that as much nowadays. You know, like there's a lot of companies that are commercial only, industrial only, new construction only, residential repaint only. There's not a lot, it doesn't seem like it anyway.
I think a lot of that has to do with years in the industry. Like they haven't hit that mark where they're like, oh shit, I have to try something else because this, or they have to go to another company and work, and which has happened to obviously us multiple times over the last 3 decades. So,
Yeah. That's for me, like my experience starting out. I feel like I was pretty lucky because I worked for, I think, 4 different companies, maybe 5. Um, and they all kind of did something different. You know, one was like HOAs only, like big giant complexes only. And it was pretty much exterior only. And, you know, like 20 guys on a project and just working there for a couple of months, then on to the next one. One company was restaurants only. Restaurants, yeah, pretty much restaurants only. And so it was night work all the time. You know, it's like we just did fucking worked night jobs.
yeah,
One company was residential only. Every now and then they might get the commercial job, you know, but pretty much just residential. Last company I worked for did a little bit of everything. So they did some like restaurants at night, some commercial work, some residential repaint. I just never got real
restaurant
heavy into industrial coatings.
restaurant work is fun. I worked for a guy that owned 14 restaurants, and I was his main painter, and he kept trying to put me on payroll because I was charging so
Mm-hmm.
much. But it was all night work, and I had keys to all the restaurants, and it was a fun time. And I still have a job offer there to be his maintenance supervisor. If anything in life doesn't work out, I can always go back to Idaho and uh, get a job with him. 60,000 a year with benefits and a truck, and that's it's 10-hour plus days, and I'm
Yeah.
lazy.
There's someone else in Idaho you could work for.
He doesn't work.
Maybe you could run his
I could
store.
give I could give him ideas, I guess, and he could sell stuff with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just give him content ideas.
Steal your ideas, you mean?
Yeah.
Call them hacks. Like, it's not a hack, dude. It's stuff we've honed over the years.
Yeah.
You know, ideas we took from all these companies we worked for and made our own, ideas and ways of doing things. And but yeah, the versatility is key, like especially in your own business, because you can say yes to a lot more things.
And
But
I
yeah,
think you get a lot of trial and error and troubleshooting from doing different types of projects. You know, in commercial, you got to figure out how to be fast. If you're not going to make
that,
any money. With residential work, you have to learn how to be clean, nice, tight lines, and fast. Otherwise, you're not going to make any money. You're not going to get paid, right? If you do like quick, shitty work, a lot of customers are not going to give you that final paycheck. You know, you learn a lot, and I think you get a lot of like your feedback loop. You know, you get a lot of information in. You're learning like how you did something in the wrong way. The next time you try it again, you do it a better way. you like refine your skills. I think that's Aaron like with commercial work, right? I mean that's all it is refining your skills. How do you do it more efficiently?
Oh yeah,
I think with
speed.
like commercial though, dude, like technically, and especially like heavy commercial, like schools and jails and fire stations, and then the industrial maintenance side, like a lot of most of those guys, dude, are like fucking bulls in a china shop. You can't take those guys and put them in a fucking custom home, period.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like what I've been through so many different aspects of the field, just chasing the economy over the years. And I don't know, dude, I'm at the stage to where I know how to separate it, but I also know how to combine it. I know how to take and refine process to combine productivity into quality, or take quality and combine it into productivity. But I'm just waiting for the right opportunity to implement those things on a larger scale. But I don't know. Um, I don't. Right now, the money is in fucking repaints and fixing other people's fucking work. Because let's be honest, having just said that, commercial guys are like bulls in china shops when you fucking stick them into a house, I don't even know of any house painters that can paint a fucking house right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I started out in new construction, man, and it was a repetition of track homes. Um, it's back rolling for a sprayer with an 18, and it's filling pre-finished trim with mixing putty, color putty, all day until I had splinters in every finger.
I don't.
And
I think tracked. I think tracked work is even different than new construction, right? When I
yeah,
think of new construction, I think of like spec homes. Like a builder builds a one-off. Um, Track work is like fucking crazy work.
Well, there's
That's
but
no
being
that's
money
able,
rough.
if to do a singular spec home. There's no fucking money in that. Like,
Not for
it,
us.
no, like, but like if you're gonna do a singular home and it's a spec home, fuck that. There's no money in it, dude. Give me 40 or 50 of those in a fucking line, and then I'll think about fucking doing them. But there's no money in painting a spec home, dude. Setting up all your shit to go prime for fucking 3 hours, and then coming back fucking 2 weeks later for a trim package, and then you know what I mean. There's no money in that,
It's
dude.
very hard to be efficient with that kind of stuff, and they're nickel and
no,
diming you on price, and then fucking dragging their feet at the end. Like doing touch ups over and over and over again.
now priming for 3 months straight. Yeah, all right, go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make that money. Over the years, you learn to take those efficient methods and turn them into repaints, and even in commercial stuff. That never went away. And when you learn to work at a fast pace, and efficient is the key word I always think of. How can we do this efficiently? That's how I make my money, even when we are taking our time, and especially with people that you bring on that don't know how to paint, and adjusting your whole system, or you have to rely on them, and teach them and just let them do what they can do, and you still have to go do what they can't do and show them. It's just yeah, I keep in memory all the times that I was being taught or not being taught because they didn't want me to learn to pass them in the company.
Dude, I
Yep.
really want to do some big custom homes right now. I want to do fucking, like some production jobs. I want to do some track homes. I want to do some apartments. But in all honesty, there is more money in fixing someone else's shit right now than there is doing it right the first time. And
Absolutely.
finding, you know, people like middle class to upper middle class people that want to pay for a quality repaint.
Yep. Definitely.
Here, here in Hawaii, we're limited on new construction homes because basically people buy an old house, tear it down, or they'll remodel it. But there's not a whole lot of land left here, so there's not like huge neighborhoods being built anymore. Endless cookie cutter homes. There are a bunch here, but it's mainly fixing all of that. And then the new construction houses, they have their fast crews, and then they have their luxury crews, and we kind of fit in on the top end of the luxury crew for new construction because I won't do it unless they give me a time and materials uh, spec on it because they're gonna change shit. I'm gonna get paid for it. It's that simple.
Yeah. All right. So I think the bulk of what I wanted to talk about is what do our companies look like in 5 years? 3 years, 5 years from now, maybe 10 years. I don't know. Um, we all come from like different places right now. Like Aaron is a few years in on his own company. So it's probably something he's been wanting to build for a while. What do the next 3 to 5 years look like for him? Sam, you've been at it for a long time. Um, to me, it seems like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like you obviously earn a good living from doing what you do. Do you still love it? Maybe not. Maybe sometimes. For
I like the
me,
money.
yeah. For me, that's what it's become. Right? I like to build a business. It's fun for me. I like that part of it. Um, I don't really care for all the management that I have to do. I'd rather not have to do that much management. Right?
Yeah.
Um, I don't really care to be sitting at a desk as much as I do. Um, but there's trade-offs. And so we all are coming from different places right now. Um, but what do the next like 3 to 5 years look like for each of us? Like Sam, you had some changes happen recently.
Yeah, I had a couple guys. I had myself and three guys, and I have an office manager. The office manager and my lead guy have been with me for quite some time, 7 to 8 years. And then I had a couple other guys, friends of mine, and I taught all my crew how to paint
Mm-hmm.
because it was hard to find anybody who knows how to paint or thinks they can here. They're doing their own thing. So I figured I'd train some good people, and life happened. One of my guys had to move to New York because his wife's family they wanted to be closer, and then the other guy he got offered a job from a tile guy uh, for more money than I could give him
Mm-hmm.
and a lot more hours. And I totally understand. I get it because I've been on that side of the spectrum.
Yep.
And so my 5 year plans didn't work. It got postponed, man. Um, so I just had to restructure in a day. I just thought it out. Okay, myself having to get off my ass and go into the jobs for a full day instead of a half day. Luke is more eager to take the reins where he can get more money because we're still keeping the same price for what we charge at a four man team,
Yeah.
and we're still getting jobs with a 2 man team. It's just going to take us a little longer, and
Mm-hmm.
potential for him to have more money and take the reins at some point, which he did not want at first. He did not want to be in charge of anybody. um, even after 5 years, 6 years, still no. And the last couple of years, he's been kind of picking up the pace and realizing this is a career. It's not just a job. The potential to make a future with this. Um, he sees it now, which not everybody gets that right away. So
So where do you want to be? Let's say like you can wave a magic wand. Where would you be at 5 years from now?
I would not be painting. Be uh, I would be completely out of the business because I've been in it for so long. It's not an easy living. I would like to make enough money in the next 5 years to buy a property and have rental properties, kind of thing. Investing, which I didn't do in my younger years because I was raising kids, I was partying, doing
Yeah.
drugs, shit like that. This is my main go at it, and it's always been you climb up that ladder, and I'm taking my time this time, and I take a couple steps back now and again, and those are frustrating. They always will be. You never know where your next paycheck's coming from. I don't worry about it, but I am looking to the long term. now with and that means getting out of the business, leaving it for Luke to run, um, whether I'm completely out of it or if I keep taking a percentage and doing estimates, things like that. Because at age 50, I'm not 50 yet, but when I hit that mark, being able to physically go out and bust like I did 10 years ago, I can't even do that now. And I'm in good shape, honestly, like for 48 years old. Painting your whole life keeps you in shape, but man, it kills me. Like after 45, I could not work a 10-hour, 12-hour day. So,
So
and I
would
don't want to
you,
put my guys through that.
yeah, would you hypothetically keep the company then? And so you're saying like maybe you would do sales for the company, something like that?
Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to go away because we've got such a solid reputation
Hmm.
that I'd be stupid to throw that away. Um,
Yeah.
keep the percentage, but as far as staffing, that's the hardest part with this industry. You have many people. I could either scale up or stay where I'm at and still make good money and have minimal headache. But I had plans on having two crews going at once, and I kind of sliced that when my guys left last week. So yeah, I kind of have to revamp. And if it's just going to be the two of us, we could have a very long career. Even if I back off, he'd be able to take over. Um, so that's kind of where I'm at now. Like, I just don't want to do it anymore ever.
Have you considered like seeking out someone that wants to run a company? You know, like
I have.
a business person maybe that wants to run a company,
Well,
wants to hire people, wants to deal with management, wants to deal with growing and all that shit, and just basically build it on your reputation.
well, I do have the paintcation guys that come over, and that's especially in the winter time. And there's a few guys that I've actually made a long-term offer to. Um, but the reality of moving here and doing it. But I have a few other prospects that I have been looking at on social media that I would make that offer to come over and kind of take over the physical part and possibly the office part because I don't want to do that either.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, I mean, look, like hypothetically, so reputation has value to it, you know, and if you have, so like for me on paper I can prove that we do over $1 million a year just on referral and repeat customers. That's zero marketing to get that $1 million a year. So it would be valuable for me to pitch that to someone like, hey, you know, even if you spend no money on marketing, it's $1 million every year recurring revenue, right? So you come in, run the business. If you want to build it up, fine. If you don't, you want to keep it where it is, fine. Like, here's my name, you know, do what you want with it. Just pay me 10% for the rest of my life, whatever. Um, so, but you could do something like that as well, right? Like if you wanted to offer somebody to come in and say, you know, if you want to build something that's already set up, it's already established, and because someone else can come in, they could say, hey, I want to do marketing. You know, I want to spend $2,500 a month on marketing or $10,000 a month on marketing and use the right painter name. I want to hire employees. I want to, you know, like some kind of go getter, right? They want to go live in Hawaii and give it a run.
yeah. There's a reality to that though, as far as having too much work and not enough manpower to do
Yeah.
it, because that's not that. It's there's so much entitlement in this day and age, and not very many people want to learn a trade.
Hmm.
Even the skilled people are set in their ways. I'm really good. I'm a really good people person, and I'm really good at training people. But for longevity, bringing somebody in to shoot big and market would be a bad idea because we do have enough coming in now to sustain, two people comfortably for a very long time. And me pulling out and keeping a percentage would be ideal, but I see if somebody came in and wanted to hire people and market, they have no idea what they're getting into
Yeah.
here. It's a totally different market, and it would just be a
So
fucking
I would
nightmare.
agree that um, Hawaii is probably a lot different than anywhere else. Um, just because you have to hire the people that live there.
Yeah.
Like it's not that simple or as simple as anywhere else in the country, probably.
No. Yeah. It's yeah. That's a whole different other episode, but with the whole culture here and everything,
Right.
and
That's what I
the
mean.
the
It's like
desire to work.
culture there. It's not. It's like the people that are native to the area, all of that shit that's going on. Versus somebody
No,
that's new to the area.
we're an invasive species as far as capitalism is concerned
Yeah.
here,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're very in tune with that. And there's a lot of capitalist people here that come and buy waterfront property for $10 million, and there's a trade-off uh, with all of that. That's a big reality. I've had quite a few people wanting to come over here and start a company, and they've hit me up, and I've talked in depth with them, unbiased. Like, yeah, this is the reality of what you're getting into, uh, and it sounds great.
It does sound great. It sounds great to go to
It does.
Hawaii with the trade that you already know. You already know how to do painting, and to go out there and start a company. Yeah, man. Why not? Year
with
round painting.
without fully understanding the culture and the people and the reality of it. Like, I grew up here, so I already knew what I was getting into, and people say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Bullshit. You can make it in Hawaii. Yeah, I'm very proud of where I've come in the last 8 years, and uh, a lot of lessons I've learned about staffing. And it's not my first business, but it's the first one that has the potential to succeed,
Keep going.
and with longevity. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Aaron, you've got couple guys, and you're 3 years in.
I just have one right now, myself
Okay.
and Jeremiah. So yeah.
And you're doing two big projects at the same time. One's losing you
Yeah.
money, one's making you money.
Yeah.
What do you like 3, 4, 5 years down the road? Like, what's your ideal position to be in?
I don't know, man. So when with all the shit we went through, like in the '90s, with the huge construction boom, and then shit crashing out, after '08, and fucking pretty much just there being scragglers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think 2008 changed the industry like forever.
Yeah.
I think
Definitely.
I from what I see, like anywhere I go, like n- at least 90% of people don't know what the fuck they're doing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I see none of the same faces in the paint store. Like, where the fuck did everybody go? Now you fast forward to 2020, dude. Like, all this political bullshit that has created labor shortages, and dude, like, it is not. People don't want to work right now. You know what I mean?
Pandemics. Yeah.
Yeah, well, not just the pandemic, but it's created this whole culture of not working. Like, I don't know if people are on public assistance, but there's no fucking buddy out there. There's nobody out there that wants to work. So,
Is Postmates
um,
big where you are?
I
Postmates,
think
DoorDash,
DoorDash.
Uber. Yeah, Uber.
Yeah, yeah, they
Yeah.
have all that stuff.
So look, the because there's not a lot of people on unemployment right now. It's not like record numbers on unemployment. But with Uber, with DoorDash, so mostly with like DoorDash and Postmates, and then Uber Eats, the food delivery places, you don't have to have like a specific car. To drive for Uber or Lyft, you do have to have a specific car. It has to be clean, it has to be a certain year, it has to be, whatever. Those things have to be kept up to date. But if you're just doing food delivery, it doesn't matter. Um, I think that's what's stealing all the workers away. I think that's anybody that's
Oh,
like, I mean, think about it. If I like, for me, rather than going and working for another company, I would rather do DoorDash. I'd rather be delivering food and fucking turn on my app when I want to work.
Yeah.
If I want to work
Well,
all
and
day,
you look
I
too, like they're bumping and there's no state or federal minimums that have increased, but they're increasing the rate of pay for non-skilled jobs, and it's
Yeah,
driving people away from the trades. You know what I mean? So that it's like, there's no official like pay scales for what we do, but if you look and you compare the way things have drastically changed over the last year, like our starting pay is what people are making at fucking McDonald's and shit, dude. Like you're not going to be able to
Yeah.
find somebody that wants to come manually labor for fucking, that kind of fucking money. And I don't want to pay somebody a journeyman scale that can't even wipe their own ass. You know what I mean? So
I pay my guys really good. From the beginning, I pay my guys really good, and still, like, I lost
yeah.
two guys because of the downtimes and et cetera. It's just the way my business structure is. I couldn't sustain them comfortably, even with the ridiculous amount of money I was paying them.
So when I used to run logistics on, just you could you could just knock guys around and fucking drag them through the dirt and fucking, you know, build a relationship out of the guys that could survive that, and then you start treating people well. Like you can't even find people that want to come fucking suffer and make something out of themselves and survive in a diverse environment and a growing environment. So but I don't know, man. Having said all that, for me, like, um, when I started building this about 3 years ago, I looked at it like this: like, I could go, and I did do some production right off the bat, right? But while I was doing that, I thought I want to build it inside out. What's the hardest thing to build up? Like the repaints. How do you get calls out of fucking thin air? Because the easy part is just walking into a fucking job trailer and telling a builder you're gonna fucking do
yeah,
something for cheaper. You know what I mean? That's the
yep.
fucking easy part.
Hmm.
The hard part is generating calls out of fucking thin air. So that is the side that I wanted to build up first. I think we have some huge economical downturns coming. I think the market's going to crash. I think the real estate market's going to fall out. I think it's going to turn upside down. I think there's some fucking some hard times fucking coming. So what I'm doing, like with the new construction, whether it's custom, whether it's spec, whether it's production, I'm letting that shit sit. I'm letting all these fucking builders that are on fucking cost plus environments to where they can never lose fucking money, but the fucking painter somehow can. They want to fucking
Of course.
upsell our jobs, they want to fucking make a profit off of our work, and let's just barely get through it. I'm making them fucking suffer with all of the inexperience that is out there. You know what I mean? I want them to
Yeah.
suffer through it. I want them to have shitty painters, shitty help, cheap fucking guys. Let all the cheap dudes do that shit, because when the economy crashes, I will not only have my name running for the fucking repaints, but then that will be my end when these guys start going out of business to jump back into new construction.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't have quite as uh, much of a doom and gloom outlook as you do, but I think you're mostly right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm hopeful that I hope that it doesn't fucking happen, but I'm preparing for the worst.
I would prepare for
Well,
that too.
the
I think that's wise.
the the pandemic eliminated a lot of companies, uh, just right off the bat. Um,
Well, it eliminated a lot
spe-
of like restaurants and
Yeah.
gyms and bars and shit like that, but not the construction, man. Construction's
No.
been
So,
boom in the
well,
last few years.
so what's happening where I live is people because of the pandemic and because of all these like the oddly like Marxist and fucking far left agendas that our Democrat ran cities have fucking been doing. People have been fleeing the fucking cities to come to rural areas like where I live, and it's inflated our real estate market. And so many people have moved to these places that fucking massive amounts of people like, hey, I just bought a house. Can you paint it? Hey, I just bought a house. Can you paint it? And like, it's been
Everybody, everywhere.
fucking crazy, dude. Like, the
Yeah,
eventually that shit's gonna stop. All these people that are on a fucking, what is it, a progressive note or whatever. Once the market crashes and they
arm.
find out that they just bought a $4,000 house $400,000 house that's only worth like 175, and their fucking payments
Yeah.
jump to fucking, triple, double, triple. Like,
Yeah.
there's some bad shit that could happen.
So I think that 100%. Uh, so people are moving from California to everywhere, and we take our California money, right? We sell our house for $1 million here, and we
Yeah.
go buy a house cash in Missouri for 400,000, and we put 100,000 into it. And so we're keeping all the Missouri painters busy with that 100 grand, and the contractors, and everybody's eating well, everybody's living it up, right? It's the same. So in Big Bear, that's we bought a place in Big Bear, right? And um, everywhere around here, everyone's like everything is being sold in one day. It's being sold before it even goes on the market. It starts slowing down though, but last year it's like you have to make an above asking offer. Um, and so everyone's driving up the prices here. And this is small. This is like 14,000 people in this whole mountain, and all the residents, the people that were living here are selling their place because now you can get top dollar for it. It's like, well, I bought this place for 100 grand like 10 years ago, and now it's worth $800,000. Yeah, I'm going to sell it. So
Yeah.
they sell for
That
800
shit's
grand. They moved to
happening
Arizona.
here too, though.
Yeah.
Like a 375 $400,000 house might be 900 to a million now here.
Right.
A fucking $175,000 house might be a fucking $300,000 house. So
Right.
it's totally fucked up our whole economy here. And now I'm sitting here asking myself, well, if I'm gonna live in a fucking inflated economy, maybe I need to start thinking about moving back to California. You know?
Inflate your prices. Make your money now, man. That's my
Right.
philosophy: is raise your prices now while the getting's good, and save that money. And when those shit hits the fan, you can, get out of this business, buy another business, buy a restaurant, buy a bar. Who knows? Whatever you like to do, figure that out. But I mean, I've survived quite a few um, ups and downs in the 2008. I always managed to make money and feed my family and things like that. And now that I don't have all those extra bills that I have to pay, I'm doing all right. But yeah, if something like that happens, like I thought the pandemic was going to kill us. Um, but I guess because we do good work and we've consistently built our reputation, it didn't really affect us, and we stayed fairly steady. Lost maybe 2 jobs because of it, um, but it was definitely on my mind. But it didn't do the damage that I thought it was going to do. And if anything, it got rid of some of our competition. It actually created some more competition with people that were like, "I'm going to go paint houses." There's always going to be those. So I don't think you can like really plan for anything in this industry.
I think I
I guess
think
that's my.
I think your experience in Hawaii is different too, because like I think everywhere else it's been booming the last 2 years. Like
Well,
somehow
Yeah.
everybody has money, everybody's hiring contractors.
yeah,
So like the big change for us, like leading up to the crash in '08, is 2006, 2007. Anybody could buy a house, anybody could get a loan.
yeah,
You could buy 5 houses. Like people were buying 5 houses, and they're borrowing money against those houses. Now they got 100 grand cash, right? Everybody had new
sure,
boats, new cars. Everyone's doing remodels, and
yeah,
so during that time, all of a sudden, everybody's a painter, everybody's a contractor. Everybody, it's like
yeah,
there's, it went from 1,000 painters to 10,000 painters. In 2008, when everything started crashing, now nobody has money anymore, except for the people that had money before, right? Because everyone's like
I,
foreclosing on their houses. They already bought their boats. Now their boats getting repossessed. Their new cars getting repossessed. They're losing
well, I
everything and
wasn't,
not spending any money
I
anymore.
wasn't, I wasn't in Hawaii for those times. I was in Denver, Colorado, Washington State, and Idaho, and North Carolina for a little while. So like,
Yeah.
I've been in different environments, like through shitty times, and yeah, yeah, I still made it. Like I had to subcontract through companies that were doing well at the time. I had to like bartend in the winter times and shit like that. But yeah, I always know that it's not like no matter what happens, you're gonna have to adjust. It's bad. I guess
But
that's
so
the
like
point I
in
was trying to
in
make
2008,
constantly.
Like we stayed busy through that whole crash, but we had a reputation, so the people that
Yeah.
had money before still had money. They weren't buying 10 houses, because they could. They were still being smart with their money, still, financially responsible. So we still had enough like repeat business, referral work, all that stuff to stay busy through that period. But the contractors that we used to do work for, the general contractors, they were screwed because no one's paying 100 grand to
God.
add on a bedroom, but they would pay 5 grand to paint their house. 5 grand was like a reasonable like mini remodel, to get them by right now. I think the same thing's going to happen soon. Right now, everybody's a painter. Like when you see these guys on Facebook and shit where they're like, "Oh yeah, I sold $500,000 my first year in business." It's like we're in special times right now. Like, anybody who's motivated, who knows something about painting, can come in and sell a couple $100,000 in their first year. If they want to hustle and push and market and all that shit. Um,
Who cares if
so
it
now
sucks to get
everyone looks
sheened?
good. Yeah, everyone looks good right now. Everyone's yeah, right. Everyone looks good. Everyone looks like they're business savvy. Oh, everyone like, how did you do $500,000 in your first year? You're so smart. Everyone's sucking each other off.
Oh God,
Uh, but
dude.
we'll see when times get tough, right? When things tighten up and it's not money everywhere. Like you can fucking like start any kind of business right now, and there's people that are buying it. You know, um, but it's because money's everywhere right now, and even now as it starts tightening up, as interest rates start going up, house prices start going down a little bit because people aren't buying them all up anymore. uh, Money's going to tighten up, and then I think a lot of these companies are just going to go by the wayside. They're going to start slowing down. They're going to start wondering what's going on. How come I don't know what I'm doing wrong now? My marketing isn't working like it did before. Once things
I'm gonna
tighten
go
up a little
back to
bit.
having my.
I
I'm
either
gonna go
want it
back to
to
being a
like
house mom.
level out and get a little better in terms of the massive inflation that we're fucking seeing right now, or I want it to completely fall apart. I don't like that 2008 fucking kind of fall apart shit, and you gotta
Yeah.
struggle to fucking make it, and
Yeah.
strongest survive, you figure it out, but you're still a painter. I just want the fucking apocalypse, or I want shit to get, better. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like,
Dude.
dude, like because the way I'm looking at shit politically, like I don't see how this shit can go on. Like I'm sitting here wondering, like, dude, what if the fucking USD gets downgraded as the default currency, dude, and we could fucking go through what Nazi Germany went through, where the fucking German mark was worth nothing, and
Yeah.
fucking, dude, shit could go like really fucking bad from the way I'm sitting here looking at fucking how insane things are politically right now. It doesn't make any
Yeah.
fucking sense.
There's potential for it
But you
going
can always
really
look.
badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could always look at it as a doomsday kind of situation. But I've been more of a positive person my whole life, and I just don't pay attention to that kind of shit. Like I just know
Yeah.
I got to make for mine, and I feel confident in myself that no matter what happens, I can
Figure it
I
out.
can survive. I'm a hustler.
Yeah.
I gotta make my money, yo, dog, or whatever the fuck it is.
Well, no, I'm talking like, yeah, shit might get bad and we might have to hustle and the strongest survive kind of shit, but like I don't know if whatever. I kind of don't want to deal with that, but if things are going to get real bad, I'm talking about like fucking, you know, like scavenging for ammo type shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
Right? Yeah. With
hypothetically,
Mad Max and shit. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
hypothetically, like all the ducks are in a row for something like that to happen, right? Like we could
Yes.
pretty easily go to like $30 a gallon of milk, like water shuts off, electricity starts going in and out, like it could get we're for sure in line. That could happen, and it wouldn't be surprising. If like
But
there was a
that's
run on
always.
banks, if like people start defaulting on loans and there's a run on banks and that crashes the stock market, like all this trickle effect could happen. Everything's in line for that to be a possibility, more now than
It always
ever.
has been. No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, back in the days of like the Bible and shit, there was always doomsday prophets. Dude,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
nothing
but
new.
our
Doomsday is
our
nothing new, man.
our
Like it's just
government
all in how.
being completely
Yeah.
corrupt and
Mm.
being pretty much corrupt lobbyists for fucking corporations that are that are pretty much extorting
Absolutely.
from working Americans to enrich themselves. Like that really doesn't have anything to do with the apocalypse, like in terms of biblical or religion.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about like how fucked our politics are right now. Like it's looking pretty bad.
Oh yeah, yeah. We need to revamp our whole country system. Like that's it was cool back in the 1700s when it started. Yeah, cool. Yeah, oh yeah, it's a great idea.
Well,
Times have changed.
they just need
The
to do
world has changed.
a better job of
It's
hiding
corrupt
it.
as fuck.
Yeah, the problem now, I think it's always been corrupt
they
like this. We're just more aware of
well,
it now. We could see
well,
it
well,
now, and that's a problem.
we're aware now because in the 80s they were just killing people that knew
Right.
about it and
Yeah.
talked about it. Now they're like people. Oh wait, there's cameras everywhere. We know you're
Right.
gonna kill that guy. You
Right.
know, like
Yeah.
yeah, it's
That's the
fucked, man.
problem.
But
They're just not doing a good
mm,
enough job hiding it. I want them to do a better job
yeah.
hiding it. That'll make us and the public a little more at ease, I think.
But
I
I
got a
think
I got a
they are
question for
hiding it from
Aaron.
like the woke ass fucking mob that
Yeah.
is being extorted from the very fucking thing that they fucking think they're against. You know what I mean?
I've got a paint related question to get off the politics subject because I fucking hate
Yes, I
politics.
hate
Um,
politics.
Yeah.
this is like for Aaron, like because of your background in running commercial and the high paced jobs, and now as a business owner, um, and that you like you said you grind people, you were able to grind people, and now that you bring people in, the transition like you're gonna have to soften up in a sense to keep people, or are you gonna keep the grind? Have you had to set back a little bit and realize like shit, these people are soft?
Well, it's a struggle for me, man. Like if I
I
look
know.
back, yes, I was on the wall with my guys every day, and you cannot. Um, it's the same concept as like I personally can't go to work for somebody that has less experience than I do and have any respect for that. You know what I mean? So it'd be like me fucking going to work for Idaho Painter. That's never gonna fucking happen. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so when the transition that I made out of the field, like I was always on the wall. I was always running a shield and getting guys lined out in front of me, sanding, caulking, puttying, masking. I was always training and then going back to the production and just keeping the ball rolling. So when I went back into when I went into business for myself, like the biggest factor I'm looking at is like, fuck, dude, I gotta sand again, I gotta
Yeah.
putty again. I gotta fucking start running a caulking gun again. And, because primarily most of the shit that I did in terms of that was teaching people how to do it, and, I was always on a trigger. So when I first fired off, I did it by myself, you know, just, it wasn't necessarily out of desperation. It was just out of like drive. And then I
Yeah.
start getting to the point to where I'm like, okay, I need to step this up. I can't like sensibly do this by myself. I want to build a company because essentially my retirement plan isn't to necessarily not have a painting company. It's to use a painting company in order to not have to paint. So um, I I put Raymond on, that, and then we found an apprentice. So, I spent, several months training a new apprentice, and it was one of those things where it was like, okay, this kid's like extremely intelligent. And that was through, that's my pretty much my wife's son-in-law, so it's her daughter's husband. And so I had to watch my P's and Q's. And I didn't chew his ass or anything like that. But he was in some fucking environments where he had to put up, he had to put his shit up, and we forewarned him, you know what I mean? And so I would use Raymond came from my past, we had a fucking 20 plus year history. We came up together. Um and then he came, I ran back across him, and then I pretty much retrained him for like 4 years. So I used Raymond as like the tool to scare other people, to kind of show people what it's like when you fuck up. But
Yeah.
he eventually the kid eventually gassed out. He started coming in late to work and having excuses, and then I was pretty much gonna sit him down to have a talk with him, and he knew that was coming, so he pretty much tapped out. Um, then I put my brother on, which I had apprenticed him for 4 years as well. He's been in the field for about 10 years, so he's bounced back and forth between me and his dad, and just, random people. We kind of had a falling out because of a mutual friend of ours. He kind of pretty much stole him from me. So when I quit my last job, I was like, okay, I'm going to start my own thing. I took multiple people, not took them with me, but my brother was kind of on my side and stuff, and we went to work for a friend of mine, and fucking he ended up kind of stealing them from me, so that created some division between me and my brother. So anyway, he's on. um During the time that I had Raymond, and on the apprentice that I was training on his way out, I had hired a guy and had a super good attitude. I really liked his attitude, and I had him put on a downspout, which took him 4 hours.
Shit.
And I was sitting there biting my tongue and biting my tongue. I let shit like that go on for about 2 weeks, knowing that, hey, things are different nowadays. You can't fucking take 12 people and try and make all of them tap out and find two guys that you're going to get to keep for 4 years. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I was fucking just treating him like a grown man baby, like everyone wants to be treated nowadays. So biting my tongue until one day we go to prime out a 7,000 square foot house, and I said, this fucking house is getting primed today, you know, and ceilings are getting painted. And after me and Raymond put out, like, fuck, it was well over 130 gallons or so, and this dude maybe made it through back rolling like 3 closets. And I was like, dude, this isn't gonna fucking work. I flipped out and told him this isn't gonna fucking work anymore. Like, you're gonna have to either fucking dig deep and fucking find some type of fucking gojo, or you're just gonna have to not come back. And he never came back. Um, Hired, I've hired guys here and there, dude. The fucking I'm a painter, fucking been painting for 30 years kind of guy, and they show up and can't run a caulking gun, and I fucking lose my shit within 3 hours and tell them to fucking kick rocks. It's usually stuff like that, man. Like,
So we're gonna. I'm trying to talk Aaron into doing this episode with me, where I'm gonna put together like a plan, like a 5 year plan on if you want to grow the company, and then we're gonna talk
yeah,
about it and see, because he's gonna need like
Yeah.
an extreme makeover, I think, to grow the company.
And then that's one thing like I noticed, like becoming the people person, and like there's ways of doing it. That was the hardest thing for me to like bite my tongue, 'cause I come from
Yeah,
the same type of background,
yeah.
and
I had to go through
I
that
look at
process.
it now because I taught them it's my fault kind of thing, and like uh, but I also learned a lot of patience because everybody does have bad days, and like the guys that do stick around, and you kind of have to cater to that slightly. Not to like the baby part, but people are fucking babies, dude. And like,
Yeah.
especially when you come from the 12-hour grind, and like you know how to produce, and just pulling back. And what I do now when I go point out mistakes, and like they get like, oh, and they try to do the blame game. Like I said, this is what the homeowner is going to come say. Why is this like this? This is how I have to pat it. The homeowner's going to come approach me about this, so I have to approach you guys. Um, they're not going to approach me as nice as I'm approaching you guys about it, and but my own frustrations, they build, and still, even with my guy that's been here, 7, 8 years, I just have to stop and take it back, and letting the reins go in a sense, and trusting. That's where your leadership comes in, and being able to delegate, um, and just giving them a task assigned for the day, entitlement is going to kick in with anybody you have nowadays. It seems like over the years, they're just going to get jaded. It's not an easy career. Blah blah blah. It is physically and mentally draining. So you have to take those things into consideration and find that fine fucking line,
So in
dude. Like,
commercial, like I had systems in place to protect myself from, like, you know, you say entitlement, um, and that's the way guys will get. You know, after a year, somebody's, you know, gonna think that they should be spraying. After a year, somebody's gonna be crying, "I'm better than this guy. Why does he make more
Hmm.
money than me?"
Yeah.
So when I built a fucking crew, dude, I built it in pieces. I never gave anyone the amount of skills that they could use to go somewhere else. So you built, you know, this guy could sand and putty. You know, this guy could sand and caulk. This guy could fucking mask. This guy could run a brush. This guy could roll. And you built your crew to where they, you know, they could only function as a team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
If one
Smart.
dude wanted to quit, fine, go, dude. All you can do is fucking run a ball of putty. Fuck you. Leave.
I
You know what
want
I
twenty
mean?
bucks an
So
hour.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
what's your experience
so
level? Well, I can
yeah, so
putty and I
you
can caulk.
yeah, so but for one, it's not my fault that people are disloyal. So
No,
you have to have a workaround for disloyal motherfuckers. But the last two guys that I really put a shit ton of effort in, like, I had they're two younger guys. They had baseball scholarships, so they, you know, they had full ride college, and then they ended up stopping playing baseball, and, you know, finishing, you know, their fucking degrees. They had to pay for them, so they had to work, um, to pay for their fucking to pay for their college. So like I took those two guys that were, you know, were previously underneath the prior management that was completely mind fucking them and ruining them. I spent 4 years retraining those guys, but so the first year, I had them, you know, I just ran them through my process. But one of the guys came up to me, like, you know, a few months in, and he's like, "Dude, you never fucking tell us good job, you know." And I thought about it, and, you know, I'm like, well, maybe I should tell him good job. And I'm like, nah, fuck that, dude. Fuck
it comes in
that.
a pay,
So
comes in a paycheck.
I ran them into the ground fucking harder, dude, and I pushed them even fucking harder. And after a year, I lined them up, and I was like, fucking, hey guys, you know, after we completed a fucking condo, like on a impossible fucking deadline, I lined them up and I was like, good fucking job. And I was like, now ask
Yeah.
yourself this. If I'd have told you that shit a year ago, what the fuck would it mean to you right now?
Yeah,
Gotta earn that
it's
shit, man.
true. Well, and it is more
Yeah,
meaningful at the end like that, right? Like they know they worked hard. You know they worked hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, in my head, you have to have guys that, dude, if you're just taking every Tom, Dick, and Harry and fucking, you know, letting them keep the fucking diaper on, you're not building an effective crew, dude. You're building your losses. So
yeah.
I don't know how to approach it. I do agree that I have to fucking figure out how to balance past with present, but my answer right now is I just go to fucking work, and I don't have to pay somebody for it.
All
You
right.
know what I
So,
mean?
magic genie in the bottle. In 5 years, are you still working on site? Do you have a 10-man crew, 20 people, $10 million, $1 million? What does it look like?
I
What's
don't
the
know,
best
man.
case
I'm in
scenario?
completely different markets. Um by the way, Sam, I'm sending my old lady to fucking Hawaii, like not next month, but the month after. She's gonna go to her friend's baby shower, but I told her
You can stay here.
scope some shit out for me. I have to
Yeah,
stay,
dude.
dude. I have to fucking work, dude.
I
Um,
um I have a guest room. She's more than welcome, and
oh,
don't waste money on a hotel.
she's gonna stay with her friend, but I've
Oh,
got
cool.
I've got I don't know. We've been really our stuff that we've been dealing with is almost over, and we've really been discussing moving somewhere. You know, like she wants to move back to Southern California. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but I am in a pretty devalued market, but I have started to build a niche portion of that market to where I think I'm getting a lot more than the competition. Or I don't consider guys my competition. I do me and I fucking bid shit, and if somebody wants a cheap job, then fucking go get it. But
Yep.
um, I'm gonna try and make the best of where I'm at right now. So I would like to find a guy. For starters, I got to get past all the losses I'm incurring right now on my current project. But my plan this year was like, hey, I'd like to ramp up and either find a journeyman painter that I can retrain, or just find somebody that I can train from scratch. And maybe towards the end of the year, have like a functioning 3 to 4 man crew. But I don't know if it's going to go down like that. But every year I've told myself, I've looked at numbers and I'm like, I want to do this number, and I'm doing over that number. So each year I'm hitting my goals. But in terms of doing, say, like, hey, I want to do $1 million, I don't know what that looks like with. I don't know how many guys I would have to do,
8 to 10.
because like, well, like in
John
repaints or
knows.
something, because right now, like in my current store, like I'm top 3 in my home store.
Hmm.
I just got a new sales rep because my rep moved, but um, out of like 400 plus accounts, I was in the top 10, and I outsourced my rep to a larger town,
Hmm.
to a larger city. And I'm top 3 in my home store, which is weird because like the guys that I'm top 3 and with in terms of
Yeah,
paint sales, like they,
size.
they have like 4 or 5 man crews, and it's just me
Hmm.
and Jeremiah and shit. So I don't know what I don't know what that looks like. Like if doing $1 million means I'm going to turn $1 million with doing repaints, or am I going to do some production and fucking crank out some volume to make that. But I want to get it to where my comfortable spot or whatever, I want to, after taxes and everything, I want to be bringing home a few $100,000 a year, you know.
G
Yeah,
spot.
after fucking material and
Yeah,
fucking all that bullshit. But
yeah. So it takes me like 1.6 to 1.8 million to do that, to have that
yeah.
kind of income. Um, but it could
So
go
what is what
sideways
what is your return, like? You're under, what are you under 30% then?
on
What's your take home if
like
so if you do
16%,
1.6?
like
Okay,
16,
so
14 to 16%.
yeah,
Yeah. So our gross profit
Good.
is like 40%, right? But then
yeah,
we're paying overhead, we're paying office, we're paying whatever, everything else
yeah.
that is fixed bills. Um, and then like 16% is what's left over. So between, like, I pay myself a salary, so I get a weekly paycheck, and then I take draws, and then I do what I have to do to figure out how to hide some of that, you
Right.
know.
The what I'm getting out of all this and like studying like all these different companies that are around now, like I need to if I don't scale up and get a bunch of people, I have to always be prepared to do the job myself. That's kind of where my mentality is, and I don't want to scale up because I've already done that in my life, and so I have to keep that philosophy. Like I have to be able to go to, and I'm getting to a point where I can't. I'm not gonna be able to physically do it. So that's where I'm
So
at, and like getting.
you can,
Yeah,
yeah, but in your market, you could charge enough to where you could just be a manager and not have to, like, you could have two guys that are pretty loyal, that know what to do,
I,
and you could go get a job
I
set up.
did.
You could check it. Yeah, you could check. Right, exactly. You could
I
have just
did.
a few guys, 2 or 3 guys, right? And
Yeah.
so right now, like, yes, you could say, well, you could say, no, I don't have to go back to work, right? I just have to work on hiring somebody right away, and I got to put all my effort into hiring someone or getting someone trained or whatever. Like, this is the difference, right? Um, you could find somebody to hire there. Like if it's from a grocery store, from somebody doing dishes, somebody working in a warehouse job, like there's a way that you can get someone hired pretty quickly, but you'd have to do
Yeah.
marketing. You'd have to hustle to find someone that you can
Well,
bring in and train.
I do. I do have the vacation option as well for
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
bigger jobs. Like I know when we get one of these like military contracts, if one of those pops, I got guys lined up
right.
on a temporary thing. But as far as like a full time thing, like if I brought another person on right now, I'd have to train um, or retrain in a sense, um, and it just doesn't seem like a feasible option. Like it sounds good, but then I can. Part of me just doesn't want to do it for a while. Like if I still have a couple of years left in me to just see how much money we can actually make with the two of us, pay Luke more,
Well, it's
and then
easier.
use. Yeah,
It's harder work, but it's easier to do, right? You don't have to worry about marketing. You don't have to follow up. You don't have to do interviews, like all that shit that comes along with it. You don't have to deal with like the first 2 weeks of somebody being new to your company. All that stuff sucks. I mean, it's annoying to deal with. Like
yes,
we go through. So I
but
run
you got to do
ads.
it.
Yeah, I run ads on Indeed year round. And year round, like every other day, I'm getting new applicants. And I only reach out to ones that look really interesting to me. You know, but there we get tons of applications from like people at warehouse jobs, people like I get weird applicants where it's people that are coming from corporate jobs. They just don't want to be in office anymore, you know? But I've
Mm,
hired some of those guys and they come and work on a job site and they're like, nah, this shit's too hard. I'm going back to the office
yeah,
job. So those I don't usually
yeah.
follow up on.
Well, one thing I found is like it doesn't matter how much you pay somebody. Like that's what I just found out recently. I pay people really well, and I give them a really easy 6 hour day, 5 days a week. So one of them was 4 days a week, and then it still stuff happens, and it feels like you're just having to start over again. And that's always. It seems like if I don't scale up, like that's always going to be a thing. But I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So that's more like
But
for Aaron
even scaling up though,
for
I
your
still have to deal with
future.
that. Yeah, for me,
Yeah.
it's not. I'm not like starting from square one, but if I lose one of my top guys, it's like, all right, well that's a pretty big hit. But over time, you also realize like everybody's replaceable. No matter how good they are, they're replaceable. It might take longer to replace them, but there's somebody out there that might be better than them. You know.
I had to ask my lead guy. I had to ask my lead guy. I'm like, "Are you leaving too, dude? Or are we just shutting down?"
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I was like, I had to ask, like, "Yo, dude, are you still in to do this thing? That
Yeah.
makes us all this money?"
Yeah.
And he said, "So
I'm going back and forth on I might I might transition into more of a subcontractor model. I might. I'm debating this right now. California has really strict subcontractor laws. So, like, you can't, the way that most people use subs is illegal. They would be considered employees. And so, if something happened, you
that's what
get
I do."
fucked. Yeah, you get fucked on
Uh,
back taxes, on penalties for not paying employer taxes, like everything. So, there's huge
here's
liability in it.
here's how I did it. 'Cause we're under the same scale. All of my guys have their own tax ID number and their own insurance.
Yeah, but so I don't know if it's the same there, but you can't tell them when to be at work. You can't tell them what to wear. You
No,
can't tell them what to do. None of that stuff. You can't do anything. No
That
no,
directions.
but
system's
they but
kind of that
they're
system is
okay with it though.
reliant
But
upon
Yeah.
yeah,
having guys that are loyal, though. You know what I mean?
Yes.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
that's what I
yeah.
have.
Right.
Like,
But that's the thing for me is like I have some guys that I would trust to do the right thing. But
yeah,
if I'm gonna have like when I had 35 employees, I had guys that I didn't even know. Right, guys that I
right.
interviewed them and I hired them and I give them a check every week, but I'm never on jobs with them. I don't communicate with them. Like they talk to my foreman. I talk to my foreman every day, and I don't talk to them. Those guys aren't loyal to me. They as long as they
No,
keep getting
and
that paycheck.
that's a big part. Like me offering that to somebody as a potential employer or contractor subcontracting. If somebody's looking for a job, I'll say, yeah, you're gonna have to get your own insurance and your own tax ID number. because that's how I run my company, and that's kind of it's hinders me from being able to go put an ad to paper, because I don't do, that's my way around workman's comp, and I people that frown upon that, fuck you. That's how I have to run my business, because that's just the way it is. Like
Yeah, dude, I've
I
been
can
on a
make no
1099
no
my
no money
entire
at
fucking
all.
life.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my entire fucking life, dude. I've been I think I worked at a fucking union shop for like a year, and this dude's company was out of St. Louis, and he was I was going to go union with it, but once I realized that he was coming, that like we're like two or 3 hours south of St. Louis, and this dude was coming down here to do contract jobs outside of the union. And once I started seeing that I was, having to run off union reps and shit and fucking blah blah blah, like I was like, dude, fuck this. And a lot of the union guys, like the union's really weak in this area. I wasn't really I wasn't really happy with like the people's just fucking experience. It seemed more like it was more about like some rep vesting somebody with a fucking 10-year card just so they could get fucking dues out of them and stuff, and there was so much inexperience. I mean, it was no different than the fucking private sector, except for these people were getting paid fucking government money to be fuck ups.
Yeah, the union is really big here, and that's where a lot of painters come from. And all of them moonlight. They have their own their own side company, and it's not enforced. So that's technically a part of my competition in a sense, but it's not really. I don't really look at anybody as competition in my immediate, because I know them all, and we kind of have unionized ourselves and share information and knowledge and stuff to just because they're cool guys. And I feel like, it's kind of a nice thing to do, mentor younger guys and shit.
Yeah, my like I don't think I could ever have a good enough offer to sell the company. Um, just because I don't think painting companies are really worth that much money. It's not like software company or technology. Um, but it's like even if somebody offered me $1 million right now to buy it, um, well, I might consider $1 million, but uh, but it's gonna
Pretty
pay me.
pretty
But
good.
it's gonna pay me $1 million in like 3 or 4 years, though. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
not like the it'll pay me. I could build it out a little bit more and then just have it pay me a lot of money for a little work. Like right now I don't have to work that much. I'm not like I've been up here at Big Bear 2 or 3 days a week for the last 6 months. And so like
living the
when I
dream.
come here, I have to do work on my computer. I have to do phone calls. I have to do scheduling, paint orders, all that shit. Still have to do. So it's not
Well,
nothing.
you've earned it, man. Totally. Yeah, it's coming from me. Like respect. Like I wish I could have had the mentality and the basis to do that years ago and be at where you're at right now. But
Yeah, but
I
there's
didn't.
a
I don't
difference in
have that in
help.
my
Yeah, so
nature. Yeah.
but like in 2015 and 16, I brought a guy on, a tech guy. Brought him on. He did business consulting for me for like 6 months or so, maybe a year, helping me get everything into systems. He's built 3 or 4 businesses. He's been through it all the way through it, and so I ended up bringing him on full time. And like just because the information that he had on like how we could scale this, how we could systemize everything, and then he was doing it right. I didn't have to do that much. I didn't have to change very much. I had to change a little, right? Like I had to be okay with a little less quality. I had to be okay with
Yeah.
fuck ups a little more frequently. Like I had to be okay with it, all that shit, right? Like you can't treat one employee different than another. So like if this one guy's like, hey, can I get my paycheck early? It's like I can't give him a paycheck early and not offer that to everyone else because then I'm being
Right.
discriminatory. Like all that shit where it's like, dude, I had conversations with him where I'm like, I don't want to fucking run a company like this. This is stupid, right? Like I don't want to do that shit. It's dumb. Um, his his point of view was that He builds businesses. He wants to build this company. He doesn't want to take extra money, any more money than we need to out of the company. He wants to reinvest it all, right? I want more of a lifestyle business. If I have an extra 5 grand in the account this week, I want to go fucking on vacation next week, right? I want to use that five
Right?
grand. I don't want to buy leads. I don't want to spend on marketing. I don't want to hire another admin person. Like I want to go enjoy it. Like I've
Yeah.
always enjoyed the ride. I've never been like a big saver. I have saved more
Me either.
recently. So even now, like I only save now because I'm finally out earning what I spent. I'm not like
Yeah.
fucking, like saving all my pennies and, not eating lunch where I want to eat lunch today and all that shit. It's just I'm finally earning more than I spent, so I can save some. But his point of view was like, let's make this thing super efficient, super streamlined. All the employees are just numbers, they're not people. All the clients are numbers, they're not people. Um, every penny you make that we can put into marketing, we need to do that because then we're going to get more leads, more sales, more money, right? Um, so I had to. It was a balance between he and I on which moves we should make on the company. Like which things I'm okay with, which things I'm not okay with. Like okay, I'll accept that we're going to have mistakes sometimes. Um, I don't know what big things I wouldn't do. Um, I shit like some of the team building stuff that he wanted to do. Like I'm not fucking doing that.
Morning jazzercise. Come on,
Yeah.
everybody.
So some of that, but I do some of that stuff, but not all the things that he wanted to do. Right? It's like, dude, that is so lame. I'm not doing that. Like these guys are gonna see
I
right
can
through
see
all
you
that
doing that,
bullshit.
Aaron.
Yeah, fuck all
Aaron
that
doing
shit.
doing
I
18-inch
Yeah.
roller drills.
I
18.
traveled
Oh
to
yeah.
I traveled around painting WalMarts and shit, and just to watch like that team building bullshit that they did. It's like a cult, man.
Yeah.
I was we watched one of our guys had stopped a shoplifter, and the Walmart team had brought him in around all the fucking employees, and they like introduced him, and they're like, he stopped this, and like everybody clap, and they're all clapping
Oof.
for him. And I'm like, dude, fuck that noise. Like if I see somebody stealing something, I'm just gonna let them steal it. I ain't dealing with that shit.
Yeah.
and it just by happenstance, I was working in like the garden center, like in a lift doing some tall walls, and somebody had stolen a TV and came out through the garden center, and they fucking, because I didn't say anything or see it or stop them, they locked me in there. What, through because it was
Oh
like a night
Jesus.
shift,
Oh
but like
You
shit.
didn't want the
I didn't
clapping.
even know they were stealing shit.
Yeah.
Fucking no, I'm not dealing with
So,
that
but
fucking.
that stuff does build teams and it builds loyalty and it makes people feel like they're part of something, right? Like these are the things where you have to make decisions. Like I've had to make decisions at certain points over the last like 10 years where do I want it enough to do this stupid thing? Like do I want it enough to make this change? Do I want to start doing team building exercises? Do I want to do planned beach volleyball trips with all my crew? Like shit like
Yeah.
that, where it's like it has a positive effect on people. They do feel like they're getting to hang out with you and they're getting to know you more and whatever. Like, we do safety meetings at the office. I don't know, every 2 or 3 weeks, and sometimes we'll do lunches and everybody has a great time. It's not like it's that weird, but I don't want to do that shit all the time. Like I like being alone. I don't like being with everybody all the time and being all like talking to everybody and oh, how's your family? How's your? I'm not that guy. Like I don't want to do
Me either.
that. But I should do that. And if I want to have guys loyal to me, if I want to have them feel like I care, which I want them to feel like I care, I do, but I just don't show it that way. Like that's not. I don't need you to show it to me that way. Why do I need to treat you that way to show you?
And I'm gonna say just from my experience, dude, it doesn't matter how much you show them you care, they're still gonna go. Like,
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter what you do for people. Sometimes it's just it just doesn't matter. Like people
a
are
hundred
gonna do what
percent.
they're
You
gonna
could
fucking
always
do.
lose
Yeah.
somebody, anybody. You could always lose anybody, anytime. Like there's not nothing is gonna make somebody permanently stay with you. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, this is cool because like different business structures. Like you're in a big city. I'm in a potential big like area, and Aaron's you're in like a medium, kind of smaller, you know, area to kind of like to have things you can pull from. You know, it's kind of limited. Like you have to really be on point. Whereas John can like just flip through. I mean, my business scale, I could potentially do what John does here with by scaling up, but I don't want to. So like it's still like small town here. Like if you burn somebody, you know, especially with the internet now, it's like one one bad review and you're kind of screwed. And that's I geared like I don't want any bad reviews ever, and been pretty good at that so far.
See, and
That's
those are
tough.
things. Those are other things where I had to be okay with it. I had to be okay with some customers getting pissed off about stuff, us doing some things wrong, us getting some bad reviews. Like I have to be okay with it. Where I can't control this many people, I can't make them all do exactly what I want, exactly the way I want it all the time. So if I want to have employees that I don't know very well, just because we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that's I have to make that decision. Like I have to be okay with all that dumb little shit happening that can go on when you don't have your finger like tightly on the pulse. You know,
Yeah,
it's part of it.
my finger's like it's there. Like I'm conscious of everything that happens for the most part, but not 100%. And but I still it's enough where like I know I've charged enough, so if that shit does happen, we got it covered, and it's okay to take our time and fix it.
And
Like
that's a big part of it. That's so we charge high prices too, but I can also that affords me the ability to give really good customer service. And like I've had plenty of arguments with my clients. Like I like last week I had a yelling match with one of my clients. I'm at my kid's soccer game, and like my wife's like, "Who are you talking to?" She thought it was one of my employees. I'm like, "It's a client." She's like getting all pissed off about shit. She was referred to me from this realtor. This realtor has referred me like $150,000 of work in the last year. Like it's fucking insane. Um, I brought her like a $500 bottle of wine, a few months ago. Just like, dude, she's hooking me up. But anyway, so this client is like, Ellie referred me to you. She said you could get this stuff done on a deadline. Like, I'm gonna have to let her know what actually happened. And like, I know that I do the right thing all the time. I know that I don't lie. I know I'm a man of my word, so I don't worry about that shit anymore. At this point, it's like I know what we do. I know like how much better we are than almost every other company out there. When it comes to customer service, keeping our word, meeting deadlines, like, and I told her I was like, I don't ever miss deadlines. We didn't talk about when it specifically had to be done. She's like, I have pictures coming on Tuesday. It had to be done before then, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you have to tell me if you need pictures on Tuesday. I don't know. We have to talk about that. I talked to you, but
You're
I
supposed
sent
to
you an
know those
email.
things.
Yeah, I sent you an email. I'm like, look at the emails. I read the email to her. It's not in there. And she's like, well, I'm gonna have to tell Ellie what happened here. I'm like, tell her. I don't care. That's fine. She knows. She refers me because she knows what we do, and we do the right thing all the time. We meet deadlines all the time. That's why she refers us all the time, right? And but so conversations like that happen, right? Where it's like, uh, we will do the right thing all the time, but we also charge enough to where we can do the right thing all the time. It doesn't just fuck us up. It's not like our margins are so tight where if I have to go back there, if I have to send an extra guy tomorrow to get a job done to make somebody happy, I can do it. It's not going to screw everything up. I'm not going to now lose money because trying to make someone happy.
That's what baffles me a lot when I talk to people on social media. They ask me about estimating and stuff like that, and they send me pictures of the job, and I tell them that they just like once you go over that 10K mark, man, like that's a big step. Raise your prices, make it. I hate that term. What's a fair price? Pisses me off. It's like fair for who?
Yeah.
Fair for you or fair for the customer? Like, what does it matter? Fair. Nothing is fair. You want to live like that, and like I don't feel like gouging my customers. Is like you're not gouging. It's not gouging. It's you know your worth. Charge more than that. Like who are you? Like why don't you want to succeed and be successful and make money? Like what did you get in business for? To do shit
And
for free
charge
and
more,
for the
and then
kindness,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
goodness of your heart.
yeah, charge more and give them the better service. You know, like if you're
Yeah,
feeling guilty about
or
raising the
stay
prices,
broke,
yeah,
Yeah,
stay
they
broke
don't.
and tired.
If you're incurring losses, they're not just handing out fucking money. Oh,
Yeah,
you lost
at
money on this one.
all.
Oh, let me pay you the difference.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
not at
Or
you
all.
know,
breaking even. Do you want to break even your whole life?
yeah.
You know, I don't. I drive a Porsche now. Damn it.
Yeah, our biggest year in sales, we did about $3 million, and I lost like 80 grand. And we had 35 painters. We had three people in the office, full time salesperson, um, and did tons of business. You know, and it was like half of our jobs we were losing money, half of them we were making money. So it was just a wash at the end of the day. I would have been better off that whole year having fucking two guys and doing one job a week. I would have been way better off. I would have made so much more money. It's crazy. Uh, but yeah, so like not charging enough. I mean, it was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. No, I say. I mean, I know. Like Alpha, you've been painting for a long time, man. You're a fucking machine, and like being 3 years in, you're getting to see a lot of this shit. Like, and I'm glad like you guys are doing this whole podcast thing, dude, so people can hear what's going on and like maybe like realize that they're not. Nobody's a fucking unicorn. you
Yeah, well,
know.
I don't think anybody's really talking about it. You know, like on the real side of it. There's people that
No,
a lot of the painting podcasts, and I've listened to probably all of them.
same.
Are either at talking high level, you know, where it's like it's
Scale or
more like
die.
high level business talk, yeah, where it's like for the
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of companies that are uh so if you're over $1 million, you're like top 5% for companies on revenue for painting companies in the country. Top 5%. That I think it's something like 90% of all painting companies, the average size is 1 to 3 people. You know, like that's average for 90% of the companies out there, something like that. Some crazy number. And so all of these high level podcasts or these painting podcasts are talking about high level topics. Who the fuck are they talking to? Like they're just
Yeah. Who's
talking to
their
that
target?
5%. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's not
Yeah.
all these other people. I think they will listen to those podcasts. They will enjoy them, but that's not for them.
Sure.
You know, like that's not
No.
what you need to be listening to right now. You know, like you need
Is it?
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
you
foundational
know what that
stuff.
is? That's the guy you used to work for that fucking needed you because without you, he wouldn't be who he
Yes.
is. You know what I'm saying?
Right, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
the that's
And he's
the
still doing it that way. He's still treating it that way.
yeah.
He's the guy that still needs you. That guy who's talking about fucking how to increase your ROIs and have your top line sales numbers be higher and you know how to master Facebook marketing and blah blah blah. That guy
Yeah.
still needs you. Like he's not really serving you, but he needs you
No.
also,
I
you know?
worked for enough of those fucking guys, dude. That's why I'm in business for
Same.
myself. Like I
Yeah.
want to engage with people that like me that fucking that spent their whole life in the trade that were fucking too scared to take that next step because maybe you were the only income source and you couldn't take that
Right.
fucking
It's a
gamble. You know
risk.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is a
it's too
gamble.
much of a
100%
risk
gamble.
to go into business for yourself. So you stick to what you know, fucking running somebody else's logistics or being a lead guy somewhere or just simply being a journeyman fucking painter. But like, that's what we need is guys that have experience that can be helped into business for themselves. And I don't think the guys that are doing millions of dollars that fucking have never ran a fucking caulking gun in their life, uh, am I ever going to fucking engage with? They can suck my dick. And then the guys that
Yeah.
fucking the guys that are starting businesses and trying to use those guys that are doing millions of dollars to fucking learn how to paint when they've never painted themselves. Like dude,
Yeah.
it's a fucking mess. The industry is a
And,
mess. I want to
Yeah,
talk
and
it
about it.
is.
this real talk like this is like maybe somebody is uh, considering going out and starting a business, and then they realize that it is a gamble, and maybe they should just stay with that stability instead of going and fucking up the whole
Yeah.
industry by not being experienced enough, and just bide your time and
Yeah.
or figure out like yeah, it's great. I wish I would have
Or
had
even
this
if,
um,
yeah,
years ago.
yeah,
I
for
love it.
sure.
But
Well, and
like
that's
what
all
on
stages.
my side, I probably could have went into business for myself fucking 10 years ago, 15 years
Yeah.
ago. But I didn't know that, I was fuck, dude. I don't know. I couldn't take the gamble. So it wasn't until I felt that, or I didn't give a fuck if I lost anything, that I started bettering myself, you know what I mean? It taking all the fucking risk. But I could never envision, like being the dude that fucking worked for a year and then jumped companies and lied about my experience and got another job and then did it again, and then 2 years later, you've got 20 years fucking
Right.
experience. Like I could never see myself as one of those guys. Like we fucking tortured those guys and made
Yeah.
them tap out. Like you know
Yeah, because you
I
find them out immediately. You find them out on day
yeah,
one. Like, how long have you been
yes,
painting?
dude. Yeah.
And then he
And
gets reamed.
that's all Idaho is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's really cool is like being on social media for the last 3 years and like helping people. Like I'm gonna say like painting by Juan. He was working for himself and he was doing all the work for another guy, and like we kind of coached him, and I would say everybody on social media just giving him that encouragement and guidance to do his own thing, and look at him now. Like
I know, man.
it's
He's got
cool. I
Yeah.
love
fucking
seeing that.
new sprayers every week. Like, he's
Yeah, yeah.
rolling,
It's
man.
it's it's really awesome to watch
It
Yeah.
is
people like
cool.
But no,
that
we need guys like
deserve
that
and
in
they
the
have the
field.
mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah, they deserve it. They have the mentality to like. And if you're making money for somebody that doesn't care, and you're doing all the work, yeah, you
Yeah.
should start your own thing if you can. It's not that hard, but do it smart and like be educated about it and like ask questions. And
And he's
don't be
doing good
afraid.
work. He's doing good work. He's trying. You could see he's trying to get better all the time. Like yeah. Like those are
Yeah,
the kind of people you want in the business.
Yeah, because those
absolutely.
guys are not going to be devaluing the market. The guys without any experience are going to be either doing it for cheap and lowering the overall value of your market, or they're going to be fucking things up, and they're going to be decreasing mind share of what it looks like to be a painter in the first place.
Yeah, and to the guys that are have been doing it as long as we have, or even longer, to get on and be a dickhead. It's just it's what are you offering? What are you doing to better the trade? You do have all this knowledge and all these years. Do something about it. Show, help people instead of criticizing. It really doesn't do any good. I had a guy come on one of my posts when I was, calling Nick Slavic out about selling brushes for the PCA. I just talked about it, how we kind of police social media um, for the parasites, and he told me I look like an idiot, so I blocked him. And I was just like, I don't. Dude called my company phone, like my office manager sends me a text, and the guy's like, "What did I say?" And I'm like, I don't have to acknowledge or you came off like that. You didn't have to. Just go back to doing what you were doing because we're doing something, and with even Nick Slavic, he's doing something. But I saw something. I said something. That's just who I am. Like I don't need fucking mom and dad barking in my fucking ear because you're not doing shit about it. So go back to where the fuck you came from.
Yeah, I think
It's
there's
just
a big gap in um, like all the social media stuff, all the podcasts. There's a big gap in like where the majority of painting companies are and painters are versus like what's being preached out there. all the stuff being preached is too it's too separated from what everybody really needs. It's like there's some
Be a
you could
part of
get something
the
useful all the time.
problem or be a
Yeah,
part of the solution, right? You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
be part of the solution and do something positive, even if it is
yeah,
negative. Sometimes you got to be
yeah,
negative and tell people that this is bullshit.
yeah. But I
You
think
know?
that's where, like, to me, a lot of the reason I wanted to do this is like giving the real, like, behind the scenes information that nobody's really talking about. Like, people are not sharing all the fuck ups that happen. People are not sharing the losses on jobs, like losing your ass, and like now you're doing one job that should be making you a bunch of money. You're just using that one to pay for the one that's losing. Like, that shit is
My
real. I do
reel,
that shit so many times.
my reel got 100 million views.
Yeah.
So
Right.
what? All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So, but like, there just needs to be more communication, I think, of like, um, I don't know, the real day to day, the real struggles that happen, even the wins too, like the big
Yeah,
profit jobs that come. How do you keep those going? Um,
yeah.
I don't know how we
I
ever.
like.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that you don't really show any of your company stuff on social media at all. Like, but you have
Yeah,
some credibility just because of the way you talk. And like you and the people that you've helped, and like you've helped me with a few jobs,
it's just being
and
honest.
Eric,
Like, I'm
yeah,
not a liar. I'm not looking for clout. I don't give a shit about any attention. Um I think my last post, like my last post is like from a year ago. It's like I don't post that much. Like, I'm not interested. I like watching people's shit. I like watching people's content. I like watching people's videos. I love watching all the live shows. Like, anytime anybody does that, I'm trying to hop on because I like it. I like watching it. I like hearing about the industry. I like hearing other people's perspectives. Everybody has something valuable to say.
yeah. Aaron is showing like everything he does, and
Yeah,
that's he's showing, and he's talking about it and giving his well groomed, aged, experienced opinions on products, and it's not biased, and he has his strong opinions, and and they're validated, you know.
yep,
Much respect.
You know what? I look at those guys that are like selling fucking workshops to teach people business, like give them business skills in the painting industry and not vesting their experience. It's like the fucking guys, like the corporations that are going around right now buying all the fucking houses so they can jack up rent and fucking make it to where regular people can't ever own a fucking house. You're just gonna be fucking, you're gonna rent, you're gonna own fucking nothing, and you're gonna fucking, you're gonna like it. That's what I think the type of damage that, that kind of shit is doing. Like, you're taking away the power from the people that have fucking experience and trying to give it to fucking people that don't know a fucking thing about the industry, and I think it's disgusting. So
yeah. And
Yeah,
look,
yeah, absolutely is.
this is something that we've had conversations about, and I think I've talked to Topline about this maybe. Um, but it's like, how do you? So we're spending like, um, I don't know, a couple hours a week recording one of these. We're spending probably like 2 to 3 hours each doing editing for a podcast version and a YouTube version. It's like, how do you rightfully charge someone for something, um, and feel good about it? It's like we still don't know what that looks like. It's like I wouldn't feel good about charging somebody to listen to this. It's like this content should be out there for anyone to listen to. Like, the whole point of this is so that fucking people at square one or square five can learn something, can relate to something that we're saying. Like, I've had one of the things that bothered me early on about, like, how you're perceived or how people perceive others. I've been to a bunch of these conferences, like the PCA, the Painting Profits Summit, a bunch of these things, and I always get motivated from them. Like, I'm not gonna lie, um, but everybody sucks off the guy with the high sales. Everybody sucks off the guy that was on stage. You know what I mean? It's like that.
Yep.
It's all clout chasers, and it's like, um, when I go in there with like $2 or $3 million in revenue, I'm like a big deal there. You know, it's like, oh shit, that's really cool. You know, like, can you talk to me about how you do that kind of business? Blah blah blah. And it's like, man, fucking last year was shitty. This year I'm trying to make it not be shitty. You know, it's not like it's not what it seems, you know? Like it can be. It gets there. Like now the last couple years have finally been pretty good for me. But before that's a fucking struggle. But my numbers look good. My numbers, look fantastic, right? If you say you did over $1 million or 2 million or 3 million, it's like, wow, how'd you do that? But it's like nothing special. I didn't do anything special to get there. Like I treated people really well. I took care of my clients. Like that's it. Those are the tricks to. But it took.
there's no
But it took me 20
yeah.
years. It didn't take me two.
Right, right. Yeah, that's what
Right?
I was going to get at. It doesn't happen overnight. There's no easy answer. There's no
Yeah.
like this is going to make you successful. There's so many
Right.
different variables,
Yeah.
and everything is in a different area. It's just yeah.
But so, speaking to that, there are some things you could do to speed that up, right? Like if I had to start over right now, like I go back to square one, I would spend a lot of money on marketing because I know that that would get me in front of a lot of people quickly. I wouldn't spend another 20 years doing it again. I would spend 2 years doing it, and in 2 years I'd have $1 million in business, and then building faster from there. Um, but those are the types of things that I want to talk about, like get out in this or whatever platforms we use. Is like there are simple ways to do marketing for free. Like if you get a Yelp page and post lots of pictures and lots of content, like the internet likes lots of new content. You'll get ranked higher. If you do with Google My Business page for free and post lots of pictures, lots of information, uh, Google likes lots of new content, new relevant content. That's all they like. That's all they want. You can do that shit for free, but you got to hustle. You have to remember to do it every single week or 3 times a month or whatever. You have to do that shit all the time. And like for me,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I want to say like if you're not going to do that, like you're complaining about not having enough work, but you're not willing to do all these free things to get jobs, then fuck off. Like don't
well,
talk.
and we're putting out information, and lots of people are putting out information here for free. And then there's the
Yeah.
people that are charging, and then they're also like they're making money. They're doing it
Yeah.
to make money in a sense. Like
Yeah.
if you think that those guys don't get paid to go speak at those conventions,
Right.
yeah, it's so that they monetized it and they're taking money out of your pocket to give you something, so it's biased. It's biased, so they could
Well,
just
and
make up
it's the
anything and you're gonna
right.
fucking
And it's the
stuck it
clout
down your
though.
fucking throat.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
like the clout. Like I want to be
I
popular
would,
and I
in
want to be.
all honesty, I wouldn't have a problem with somebody like just there's always somebody better that's out there, right? There's
Yep.
always somebody that's better at doing something than you are. But in all honesty, like I don't look at all the things that I see out there. These guys are like appointing themselves, you know,
Yeah, they are
Yeah,
what they
self-appointed.
think they are. And like when you have like 20, 30 years experience and you're observing these things that don't make sense, like fucking running a piece of 9-inch paper on some fucking concrete and then closing a garage door on it, and you having like 3 inches of paper left and then spraying out a garage door and
Yeah,
fucking overspraying concrete, and like this dude's like he's the face of painting and
yeah.
fucking, it's like, dude, I wouldn't have a problem with somebody that was actually legit that was that. But
Right.
absolutely, yeah,
on one side you've got one dude that's you know plagiarizing other people's shit to try and make it his own, to try and do something with that. Then you've got other dudes that are throwing fucking business skills to dudes that haven't even taken their diapers off yet, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's not
you don't even have to paint, and you can have a $20 million painting
yeah,
company in
dude,
2 years.
it's
Buy my
fucking
program.
it's insanity.
Yeah,
I kind of hope it just crashes our industry, and the fucking guys that actually do this shit for real fucking can kind of get the field back and start rebuilding things for real, you know?
yeah. Well, that was my little motto when I first started on this social media. Is like because I do have good intentions and like I really want to help people because I didn't have it, and whether you guys believe it or not, because I pissed a lot of people off with what I do, I'm okay with that too. rebuilding faith in our trade. It's not like a religious thing. It's just people don't have faith in our our tradesmen. As painters, we're looked down upon because there's so many fly by night fucking guys, and it really affects us as people that took the time to learn the trade and have made a living at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
And even other trades don't have respect for it, dude. You walk
Yeah.
onto a job site and fucking go take a piss in an outhouse and it says painters are gay in there. That ain't got nothing to do with you. It's got something to do with some dumbass fucking painter that didn't know his shit, that didn't stand up for him fucking self, that let people walk all over him and fucking didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Like, dude, nobody, that like I was saying before about like general contractors being cost plus. They couldn't give a fuck if you make money on a fucking job, dude. They don't ever lose any. They're making money off of a percentage of what you do. It doesn't matter if you win or lose.
Of
And
every trade.
yeah, like none of the trades have respect for it anymore, dude. That's why I busted knuckles in commercial, dude, just because it was a challenge to do impossible shit that didn't make sense, still make it look good, and fucking kind of redirect people in what they think this is that we do. Like, how many fucking tradesmen have you gotten into a fucking argument with in a job trailer because they don't have any fucking respect for what you do, or you know what I mean, or on a job site or something, and you have to bleed that fucking, you have to not necessarily earn it, but you got to take that shit, you got to show it to them, like,
Stand your ground and be firm and go no.
uh,
Say no. You have
there's
to be able to say no and fuck you sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
definitely.
huge
Yeah,
difference between painting a bathroom and putting on 1,000 gallons a day. Like, you know there's uh there's respect to be had. It's hard fucking work, and there's so many people out there not doing it professionally. Like, there's so many things that should change, that need to change, that people should really start fucking talking about, dude. I'm getting sick of you know everything being like a fake smile on the fucking internet, dude. you know it's not
The
real.
yeah, one of the tough things I think is that there's a real chance of everything turning commercialized in the painting business. And like, we had joked around about, Walmart.com for painting. Um, but I, I could 100% see a path for that, and I don't know. I think that if, the 1 to 2 man shops out there don't get their shit together and start turning out quality work and charging the right prices and all that, they're just going to get eaten up by Walmart.com. Because it's not going to be worth it to go to that person. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to fucking roll the dice on this 1 or 2 man shop because their price is lower, but Walmart gives me a 5 year money back guarantee. Like, and it's only $500 more, $1,000 more. Isn't that $1,000 worth your peace of mind? Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
dude.
Sign on the dotted line.
I mean, if a
blue light
company,
special.
if a huge
Yeah,
conglomerate like that figured something out, like some type of Uber bullshit or whatever, like a multi-billion-dollar corporation, they could afford to take losses on people that are fucking something up every day, and the industry
Absolutely.
could get worse from shit like that. Like, there could
yeah.
be,
Well, it would be the decision I
Greed.
made where I'm going to do 85% quality. I'm okay. I can accept that, right? As a business owner, I can accept 85% quality in order to grow. Walmart.com is going to accept 75% quality, and they're going to stand behind it because of those 25% of people that would complain, they're going to have statistics on it and data that, well, after the first phone call, they don't do the second phone call, right? So there goes 50% of that. So now we're down to 12%. Of those 12%, after the second phone call, if we send them a $25 gift card to Walmart.com, they don't have a third phone call. So there goes another 4%, right? Like, they're going to have all that data. Like,
yeah,
I seriously, like, either it might have been yesterday, was literally thinking of like, what does it look like? Is that something that I could do? Could I do that at Walmart.com? Is that possible for me? Like, what are the roles that need to happen? And you would just need a shit ton of marketing budget because you have to have the name
yeah.
recognition.
Well,
you have to be
And
Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's or Sherwin Williams or Dunn Edwards. Like one of those companies could 100% do this right now.
yeah, I
Like
mean, dude, just like
100%.
how Lowe's, like they have subs that you go buy
Yeah.
carpet and then they have subs that'll
Yep.
go install.
Yep.
Like that could
yep,
totally happen with like Sherwin Williams
Yep.
or, but probably not likely Sherwin, but like maybe somewhere like Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever,
Yeah.
and like it could turn into an app. And if you look at it in the long term, that wouldn't be sustainable. Like fucking, you know some app or some fucking internet order type deal where you go get a shitty painter to come in and paint your house. Like that wouldn't be sustainable, but it could fuck the industry up for a couple of years before people realize that it's a bad deal, and it could
I
shit
think it.
on.
I think it could 100% be sustainable, and I think it would be mom and pop shops that would get the people who are in the know. They would still survive, but Walmart.com would be alive and well, or Home Depot, you know, paint services. They could for sure capture like 80% of business out there, or 70% of business, and then 30% would be the people who want the mom and pop shop. And at that
it'll
Yeah,
point, the only
become
mom and pop
but
shops left are the good
could it
ones.
really? But maybe for like repaints, but there's no way in hell Walmart.com is gonna go take on a fucking condo and pump out fucking 1,000 gallons a day. You know what I'm
Why not,
saying?
man? It's just
That
numbers. It's just
there's
numbers.
no
Yeah,
way.
but
There's no
your
way.
general contractor isn't get your general contractor starts thinking the same way. There's the ones that are like high end who have all the craftsmen, right? They have the mom and pop carpenter, they have the mom and pop painter, the mom and pop plumber, right? And they sell that to their clients, right? Like my price is $1 million more, but we're all one-off trades. I have all the best mom and pop shops lined up. Or you can go to Home Depot and pay $1 million less, but you're going to be using, their 75% accurate companies, right? But
okay.
you go to
CEO CEO greed
homedepot.com
is
is going to be pumping them out, standing behind their work, always sending someone out to fix it, always covering their ass, always making sure that you're happy at the end of the day. They're going to give you a gift card on your second phone call, on your third phone call. They're going to give you a 10% back or whatever,
and then
right?
the CEO greed the CEO greed is going to come in because it's going to be a corporation, and over time it's going to get saturated, and all those CEOs are going to retire with all that money. It's gonna fall out like the airlines did, and the government's going to bail them out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's genius. And then those, well, but like my thought on all that is like, why didn't the previous CEOs sitting with all that money bail that company out? Why did our government have to do it? That's what bothers me about that kind of shit. It's because it's all about greed. It's who can get all the money without doing any of the work.
Yeah, but there's a path for it to happen. Like there's a real path for it to happen, and I think the more that we continue doing shitty work, and it's hit and miss with whichever company you use. Like
Yeah,
there's not a definite way to find someone that's good, someone's going to do a good job.
no.
What
Well,
it,
I mean,
hey, what what if
there are reviews.
what if there
There's
was a
review
system
sites now.
though? What if there was a system though that was vested by real motherfuckers, that that
Right.
uh
It could be
that
like
was the counter
a
that was the
committee.
counter to that, like
Yeah.
target.com. No.
Well, I mean, well, that's the same thing with like a contractor board. It's a bunch of fucking city assigned people that tell you
Right.
that you can get a license, and they test you, and they don't know shit about what you do. That's just how our country's built,
Yeah.
man.
So I had this idea like 10 years ago or something like that, where I could be a contractor for a homeowner. Like you're gonna hire somebody to do work for you. Um, before you're gonna pull the trigger and give them a deposit, let me have a conversation with them. Let them tell me what their process is gonna be, which products they're gonna use. Like, let me just do that. Pay me $250. I'll do a consultation and tell you if they know what they're talking about or not. Right? Like I could do it all across the country. Um, and like something like that could work, right? Because we all would know enough to know if someone's full of shit or if someone knows what they're talking about. Like okay, even if this guy's going to do a shitty job, he knows what he's talking about, right? Like it's not, or this guy has no idea what he's talking about. Do not hire this person, right? Like you got to find someone else. You're going to make a mistake if you hire this person. Um, but but like
just
there would
just
be a
have them
way to
post on
find out.
social media and watch them get chewed apart. Put them in a
Yeah.
painter chat room of some sort on Facebook and have them post one of their previous job videos and watch them just get eaten, and then you
Yeah.
know.
Yep. Oh man.
Everybody's an expert, dude. Who's
Yep.
to say who's the best, right? Like, there's
I
always gonna
know
be
it.
somebody better. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I'm
this is
writing
like a
songs. I'm
never-ending
writing
topic.
songs about that shit. I'm writing songs about that shit nowadays. Should have
Yeah,
shut the fuck up and keep on scrolling.
and I think that like a lot of these big names and stuff, I think they could. Well, there are some things that they do that I appreciate or respect. Uh, I don't like how most of them go about doing it. I don't like how most of them aren't upfront with like the bad shit that happens, the things that go sideways. I don't like the it's all fucking flowers and roses. I don't like that stuff. That really bothers me. I don't think that helps people. I think it helps people more to know that you fucked up before, you had mistakes last week, you had issues, that stuff is helpful. And if you mixed that in with your fluffed up, BS, like I could appreciate that a little more. I just don't like the everything's flower colored glasses all the time for me, and I'm great and everything I do is great and I keep winning and winning and winning. How do I do it? Let me show you how. Just sign up for 1999. Like I
Yeah,
that's the part that
come to our
bothers me.
school.
I
Come to
Yeah.
our
say,
school.
I say with all those people, we fucking it'd be awesome if we could put together like a production job and just fucking have all those types of dudes come there and actually see who can fucking do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that would never happen.
Yup.
There's not
Yeah.
you can't expose yourself like that.
No, don't know the truth about us. Oh no. But you know what? There's guys like us who are showing everything every day. Oh, not John, but Alvin and
Yeah.
myself, and even like I've had the paint casing guys come over and they know how I operate. Like they've been in depth in my company, and that's really good. You know, validation of like, oh, I'm not
Well, and it's
perfect. I
good.
don't,
That's what like I like that you guys post all that shit. Like I think it's great for sales. Um like that's the
uh,
main reason why I would do it. Um but I think it's helpful to like everyone in social media is like in this industry. I don't do it just because I'm not fucking at job sites all day. I'm like never at job sites. I'm gonna have my guys
now my
start doing
prop,
some recording, but I know it's gonna be shitty recording. Like, have you?
my
So I've had my guys like, hey, can you send me some pictures of the? We got stained doors on this project this week. Can you send me some pictures of them? They're like the fucking worst pictures. Nothing is centered. Like shit.
Yeah.
They think it's cool because they took it at an angle. I'm like, fucking take me a straight photo. Like, clean your lens on your
arts,
camera. Like,
man,
come on,
artsy.
man. Yeah, it is artsy. That's what they're going for, right? No, I thought it would look cooler like that. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Funny.
All right, we gotta
I
wrap this
see
thing up.
Aaron's
We went way over on this one.
yawning there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah,
good,
we got
fun topic.
2 episodes out of it.
It's 12
Yeah.
o'clock my time now.
That's
7
crazy.
p.m. here.
So it's midnight at Aaron, 10 o'clock here, and 7 p.m. at you, Sam.
Yeah, I'll be going to bed when you're waking up.
Yeah, Aaron got this shitty deal. This one.
Yeah.
All right, we'll wrap it up.
Fuck.
Sam, thanks for coming on again, man.
As always, man, it's a pleasure, dude. And I got nothing to do, so hit me up anytime. And
Yeah,
I really
awesome.
enjoy you guys. Appreciate you. Respect you both as tradesmen and people in the industry that should be listened to 100%.
Yeah,
So
same
keep
here,
doing
man.
this. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
man.
All right, we'll wrap this thing up. As always, please like our YouTube page, give us 5-star only reviews on all podcast platforms. If you have questions or comments, send them over to hello@paintsniffers.com or on Instagram at paint_sniffers.
You can also watch the video version of the podcast on the Alpha Painting YouTube page. Go to playlists and it will be filed under Paint Sniffer Podcast. Via YouTube, you can write into QA@paintsniffer.com.
Thank you for listening to Paint Sniffer Podcast.